Your standing center. Stage, spotlight beaming down, audience. Waiting breathlessly. But the lines you're delivering tonight, they're not new. They were written decades ago. Maybe even before you knew how to speak. You're not improvising this moment. You're reenacting it. Most people believe they are living in the now, making choices fresh each day. But neuroscience and quantum physics tell a very different story. What you call now is often just the echo of a memory, repeated so many times it starts to feel like truth. A well-rehearsed script, buried in the subconscious, guiding your tone, your posture, your preferences, and even the people you attract. Dr. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 is a set of memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes. Think about that. If you're not consciously aware, you're not choosing, you're repeating. And here's the twist. That repetition isn't just psychological, it's energetic. Every thought and emotion you have broadcast a frequency into the quantum field. So when you keep replaying guilt, shame, fear, scarcity, you're not only revisiting your past, you're transmitting it. You're anchoring your reality to what was, not what could be. Your childhood wasn't just a phase of development. It was the recording studio of your inner soundtrack. If growing up, you saw love withheld, money feared, success punished, or joy postponed, those patterns didn't just fade with time. They became part of your energetic signature. And unless they're observed, questioned, and rewritten, they loop endlessly like a vinyl skipping on the same lyric. You see, we think we're reacting to the world. But most of the time, we're just reenacting the emotional choreography we memorized years ago. The fight with your partner. That feels oddly familiar. The job you attract that mirrors your father's struggle. The repeated friendships that always seem to betray you. That's not coincidence. That's resonance. Quantum mechanics shows us that particles don't have fixed states until observed. Similarly, your life doesn't unfold randomly. It crystallizes around your attention, your beliefs, and your emotional patterns. And when those are rooted in your past, the now becomes a hologram of then. But what's most dangerous isn't the pain of the past. It's how invisible it becomes. Like a costume you've worn so long, you forgot you're even in character. You tell yourself stories like, I'm just not lucky, or relationships never work for me, or I guess I'm not cut out for success. These aren't facts. They're lines from the old script. And if you keep speaking them, you keep living them. Let's go deeper. Your brain is a prediction machine. It doesn't just process the present. It projects the future based on the past. That's its job. To keep you safe, familiar, predictable. But in doing so, it resists the unknown. And the unknown is the only place your future can be born. Every time you react the same way, feel the same emotions, and entertain the same thoughts, you're anchoring yourself to the past timeline and reinforcing the neural pathways that keep you there. But what if you could watch the character without being it? What if you could catch yourself mid-scene and say, wait, I've done this before. This isn't me now. This is a memory acting itself out through me. That's the first step toward freedom. Observation. In quantum terms, the observer changes. The observed. When you become aware of the pattern, it begins to dissolve. The energy unfreezes. The script loosens its grip. The wave of infinite possibilities can start to replace the collapsed particle of repetition. And here's a powerful truth. Your past is not the villain. It was the training ground. The pain was the portal. The missteps were the map. But it was never meant to be the prison. The moment you stop identifying with your history is the moment you open to a new frequency. Not because the past disappears, but because it loses its magnetic hold on your identity. This isn't about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it be the architect of your now. And to do that, you have to step off the stage, even if just for a moment, and ask, whose lines am I reciting right now? Whose story am I still stuck in? And what would it feel like to write a new one starting today? Because the truth is, your present moment isn't really present at all if it's only echoing what's already been. And your power as a quantum being lies in this. The moment you change the script, the entire set begins to shift with it. What if your future isn't something you chase, but something you tune into? In the quantum field, every possible version of you already exists. There is a timeline where you are healed, a timeline where you're abundant, a timeline where you're deeply in love with life and it with you. These aren't fantasies. They are frequencies. Potentials that already exist in the field waiting for a match. Dr. Amit Gowamy, a pioneer in quantum consciousness, explains that consciousness doesn't just observe reality, it selects it out of infinite possibilities. The observer, you, collapses one outcome into form. But here's the twist most people miss. That collapse isn't random. It's directed by vibration. You don't get what you want, you get what you are in resonance with. And this is where the power of the future comes in. You see, just like the past broadcasts itself through memory, the future broadcasts itself through desire. That inner pull toward something more isn't just wishful thinking. It's a signal, a kind of quantum breadcrumb from a version of you that already exists, and you're longing for it. That's the magnet in your soul trying to pull you into coherence with what you already are but haven't yet become. Neville Goddard called this living in the end. To imagine not as hope but as assumption. Not waiting for it to happen but broadcasting the frequency of it is done. Because in the quantum world it is. Your job isn't to create the future from scratch. It's to collapse the future that's already been waiting for your alignment. But how does this alignment happen? Through neuroplasticity. When you imagine a future with emotional intensity, your brain begins rewiring as if it's already happening. Your body, which only knows chemistry, starts flooding with the biochemistry of success, joy, love, freedom. You literally begin to become the future in the now. And when that internal signature stabilizes, the external field mirrors it. Let's take this deeper. Imagine you're tuning a radio. The song you want is already playing on 99.7 FM. But you're stuck on 88.1. Hearing static, frustration, noise. It's not that your song doesn't exist, you're just not on the frequency. Manifestation is not about forcing things into being. It's about dialing into the broadcast that already contains your desire. This is why traditional goal setting often fails. It keeps you fixated on what you don't yet have, reinforcing the vibration of lack. But when you begin feeling the future, rehearsing the energy of it, walking with the posture of it, speaking from the identity of it, you change stations. That's what quantum manifestors do. Differently. They don't wait for evidence to believe. They believe to generate evidence. They don't affirm from emptiness. They embody from fullness. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your coherence. Coherence is when your heart, mind, and body are in harmony with a chosen reality. Not the reality you were told to expect, but the one you consciously select. Joe Dispenza's studies show that people who enter elevated emotional states, gratitude, love, joy, while focusing on a desired future begin to signal the field in new ways. And those signals don't go unanswered. They begin to rearrange matter, opportunities, and timelines. Here's the paradox most people miss. The more you feel like your future self now, the faster that future arrives. Because in quantum terms, the delay is an illusion. It's not about time, it's about frequency. Change the signal and you change what collapses. So, ask yourself, what am I practicing more? The identity of my future or the wounds of my past? Are you rehearsing possibility or replaying limitations? Because every thought you think, every emotion you entertain is either broadcasting your expansion under your stagnation. Let's make it practical. When you wake up tomorrow, before checking your phone, ask, what would it feel like to already be the version of me that has it? Let that version choose your clothes. Let that version walk you into your day. Eat as if you love your body. Speak as if you believe in your voice. Move as if your path is already blessed, because in the field it already is. You're not manifesting from thin air. You're aligning with a reality that already exists and has been waiting for you to remember it. The only reason it hasn't shown up yet is because you've been too busy tuning into the wrong station, rehearsing fear, doubt, disappointment. But the moment you shift the dial, the moment you become the vibration of your desire, the universe stops hesitating. It mirrors you instantly. Remember, the future doesn't arrive from outside. It's broadcasted from within. There is a strange and elegant secret at the core of quantum physics, one that shatters the illusion of passive living and places unimaginable creative power into your hands. It's known as the observer effect, and it means this: the moment you observe something, you change it. In classical science, reality is assumed to be objective, existing whether or not we look. But in the quantum realm, particles behave differently. Until observed, they exist only as probabilities, waves of potential. But the moment you observe them, they collapse into a single outcome. The mere act of focusing your awareness selects what becomes real. Let that sink in. Reality doesn't pre-exist fully formed. It emerges through observation. You're not looking at life. You're collapsing life into being with your focus. The implications are staggering. Because if this is true on the quantum level, and it is, then it's also true within your personal field of experience. This means that what you observe most intensely, most emotionally, most repeatedly becomes your world. Not because it's destined, but because it's been selected, collapsed by your awareness. Think of your mind like a flashlight in a dark cave. Wherever you shine it, that becomes your visible world. But just because it's what you see doesn't mean it's all there is. The cave, the quantum field, holds infinite possibilities. But you only experience the ones you illuminate. This is why worry is so powerful and so dangerous. When you obsess over a fear, you're not just entertaining a thought. You're energizing a probability. You're collapsing a potential timeline into a stronger possibility. The same goes for doubt, envy, or guilt. These aren't just emotional states. They're quantum instructions. And here's the twist. You're always observing something. Even passivity is observation. Even waiting to see what happens is selecting a version of reality where you are the passenger, not the pilot. Neville Goddard taught that the world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. You see not what is but who you are being. And the quantum world agrees. The observer and the observed are entangled. You are never just a witness. You are create a collapsing wave into particle with every belief, every story, every expectation you hold. Now consider this. If you're constantly observing your limitations, your lack of time, money, love, or worth, then what are you? Collapsing into reality over and over again? Your observations become orders to the quantum field. You get what you expect, not what you desire. Desire without observation is like a wish whispered into the wind. But observation without desire is like scanning the world for threats, failures, and confirmation of your worst fears. The power comes when observation meets intention. Let's bring this into the body. When you feel anxiety, your brain begins scanning for reasons to justify it. It becomes a searchlight, collapsing every shadow into a story. And the more you observe those stories, the more evidence appears. Not because the evidence was always there, but because your observation called it forth. But it works both ways. When you intentionally observe gratitude, abundance, love, even if faintly, the brain begins rewiring. The heart begins regulating, the body begins believing, and the quantum field begins collapsing probabilities to match. This is why mindfulness is more than a wellness practice. It's a tool of manifestation. When you observe your inner state without judgment, you interrupt the autopilot. You stop reacting. And in that space you begin selecting. This is why scripting, vision boarding, and visualization can be so powerful. Not because they convince the universe, but because they retrain your observation. They tell your awareness where to shine the light. And as you do, the cave reveals a new chamber, a new possibility, a new life taking form under your gaze. Here's a question to sit with. What are you collapsing right now simply by the way you're observing your life? Are you fixated on what's missing or what's possible? Are you scanning for proof of failure or allowing even the smallest spark of breakthrough to catch your eye? Are you interpreting your current circumstances as evidence of a stuck timeline or clues that a shift is near? Because here's the cosmic catch. The universe is infinitely flexible until you observe it into form. And the moment you lock your awareness onto one reality, it becomes more real. The longer you stay there, the more it hardens. Not because it's the only option, but because it's the one you keep choosing with your attention. You are the collapse point. Your eyes are the portals. Your thoughts are the selectors. Your emotions are the amplifiers. So what if you stopped asking why isn't it here yet? And started asking, what am I still observing into being that I no longer want? Because when you shift what you observe, you shift what exists. Not just in theory, but in your timeline, your relationships, your body, your bank account. Reality doesn't happen to you. It responds through you. If you could hear your own frequency, what would it sound like? Would it hum with clarity, confidence, and coherence? Or would it be static, tangled between old fears and half-believed dreams? Most people don't realize this. Your current state of being is not just something you feel. It's something you emit. Right now, you're broadcasting a signal into the quantum field, one that instructs reality on how to respond to you. This broadcast is not made of words. It's made of vibration. It's made of thought, forms, emotional signatures, and subconscious expectations. Every single second you are transmitting who you believe you are, and the universe is echoing it back in physical form. It's not personal. It's not mystical. It's resonance. Think of yourself like a tuning fork. When you vibrate with fear, you resonate with people, situations, and timelines that carry a similar frequency. When you vibrate with peace, you attract coherence. When you vibrate with self-worth, life mirrors that value. This isn't metaphor, it's measurable. HeartMath Institute studies show that your heart emits a magnetic field several feet around your body, directly influenced by your emotional state. This field interacts with the environment, even influencing the nervous systems of people around you. Your body isn't just a receiver, it's a transmitter. Your biology is your antenna, and what you're tuned into internally determines what comes through externally. But here's the quantum key. The broadcast is being shaped by what you habitually feel, not what you occasionally wish for. So if you're meditating for 15 minutes on abundance, but spending the rest of the day in lack, frustration, and unworthiness, what do you think the field is responding to? The 15-minute alignment, or the 10-hour emotional baseline? Your dominant frequency is your true affirmation. Not what you write down, not what you chant, but what you consistently feel to be true. This is why change feels so elusive for many. They're speaking new intentions with old vibrations. They're affirming possibilities while embodying resistance. They're declaring freedom while still broadcasting the frequency of being stuck. It's not enough to think differently. You must become the new signal. Let's go deeper. Imagine the quantum field as a cosmic mirror, but one that doesn't reflect what you want. It reflects what you are. You can't fake the signal. You can't manipulate it with words. You have to shift it from the inside out. Ask yourself, what am I broadcasting today? When you walk into a room, what energy precedes you? When you speak about your goals, are you vibrating possibility or rehearsing defeat? When you look in the mirror, does your inner dialogue uplift your signal or sabotage it? Because every thought charged with emotion sends out a ripple, and those ripples become waves. that collapse into the people, events, and opportunities you call your life. But here's the beauty. You can change your broadcast in an instant. All it takes is awareness and the willingness to shift your emotional set point. Not by denying what you feel, but by choosing to elevate your signal. You don't have to fake joy. You simply have to reach for the next highest vibration available. From despair to frustration. From frustration to neutrality. From neutrality to curiosity. From curiosity to appreciation. Each shift is a recalibration. Each elevation a new frequency. And as your broadcast changes, so does your reality. Not always overnight, but inevitably, because the universe cannot help but match your signal, its law. Let's ground this in a story. A woman for years carried the belief that she was invisible to men, to clients, to the world. She tried every manifestation trick, scripting, vision boards, crystals, but nothing shifted. Until she did. One day during a meditation, she stopped asking for attention and started being attention. She embodied the version of herself who walked with presence, who spoke with value, who didn't seek validation, because she already knew her worth. Within weeks, her inbox was full. Her business grew. Her love life blossomed. Not because the world changed, because she did. Because her broadcast aligned with a different reality. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you signal. So, here's your quantum challenge. Take a breath, drop into your heart, and feel the truth of this statement. I choose to broadcast a new reality. Now, type it in the comments. Let that be your new command. Type in the comments, I choose to broadcast a new reality, not as a wish, as a decision, a declaration, a transmission. Because the moment you change your signal, your timeline begins to reorganize around it. New people arrive. Old patterns dissolve. Synchronicities appear. Not because you forced reality to shift, but because you finally stopped arguing with the vibration of who you truly are. Remember, reality isn't listening to what you say. It's responding to what you broadcast. Most people move through life believing they're here to receive, waiting for signs, for luck, for timing, for permission, waiting for the universe to deliver some breakthrough that will finally change everything. But the truth is much more powerful and far more confronting. You are not the receiver. You are the signal. Everything you're experiencing, from the money in your account to the relationships in your life to the state of your health, is a response to the signal you've been transmitting. Not sometimes, not occasionally, constantly. Let's bring this home with a metaphor. Imagine you're a lighthouse. You don't search for ships. You don't chase them. You simply emit. And what arrives in your harbor depends entirely on the light you're shining. If your beam is flickering with fear, shame, scarcity. Don't be surprised when stormy ships find you. But if your light is steady, clear, coherent, you call in the aligned, the abundant, the true. So the question becomes, how do you become aware of the signal you're sending? It starts with emotional honesty, not surface positivity, but deep energetic transparency. Most of us have been taught to smile through the pain, to fake gratitude, to recite affirmations we don't believe. But the quantum field isn't listening to your words. It's measuring your coherence, your alignment, your energetic signature. You can't trick the field. You can only tune yourself. And tuning doesn't mean pretending. It means integrating, witnessing the part of you that's still scared without identifying with it. Listening to the part that still doubts without letting it drive. Because every emotion, when brought into the light, becomes raw material for a higher signal. This is why becoming a conscious creator is not about control. It's about clarity. When you become clear on the version of you that already exists in the field, the version that's thriving, free, expansive, you can begin to embody that frequency now. And that embodiment becomes your new broadcast. Let's explore how. Start with identity. Who do you believe you are? Not in theory. In practice, your current identity is the blueprint for your broadcast. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, guess what signal you're sending? If you see yourself as someone who just can't catch a break, that vibration is loud. It's precise. It's magnetic, but not in the way you want. Changing your signal means rewriting your identity at the root. And identity isn't just a mental concept. It's a somatic pattern. It lives in your posture, your breath, your nervous system. That's why affirmations without embodiment fall flat. You can't just say, I'm abundant. You have to breathe like someone who feels safe. Stand like someone who expects miracles. Move like someone who knows they belong in the timeline of their dreams. Next, your narrative. What story are you telling about your life? Gauss, even silently. Every time you say things never work out. For me, you reinforce that signal. Every time you say I don't know what I'm doing, the field listens. You don't attract based on truth. You attract based on repetition. So if a story no longer serves you, stop rehearsing it. Every narrative you repeat is a signal. You amplify. Try this instead. Craft a new internal dialogue. Not a fantasy, but a frequency. I am becoming the version of me who receives with ease. I'm tuning into the timeline where my power is natural and my worth unquestioned. I don't chase, I align, and everything I need is drawn to my signal. And then, most importantly, act from it. Because action is the amplifier. When you take steps aligned with your new signal, the field responds faster. Why? Because you're no longer just imagining, you're embodying. And embodiment is the most powerful broadcast of all. One more piece. Stop looking for confirmation. Stop asking the mirror to smile before you do. Quantum creation isn't about waiting for evidence. It's about becoming the evidence. The moment you stop needing external validation, you reclaim your frequency. You stop being a receiver of circumstances and start being a creator of them. Let's make it tangible. Want to attract aligned love? Stop scanning for it. Become the signal of wholeness and openness. Want financial expansion? Stop chasing money. Become the signal of trust, creativity, and value. Want purpose? Stop looking for meaning. Become the signal of presence, passion, and alignment. Because here's the quantum truth. You don't magnetize what's missing. You magnetize what you are. And you are always becoming what you broadcast. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being precise. Choosing your signal moment by moment. And when you fall back into old frequencies, and you will choose again. Not from guilt, but from power. Every reset is a refinement because you are the signal. You are the lighthouse. You are the frequency that calls your future into form. And when you begin living from this truth, you no longer need to beg the universe for signs. You become the sign. And everything you've been waiting for begins to arrive. Not because you hoped hard enough, but because you finally aligned. Imagine this. There's a timeline where everything you desire is already real. You're not struggling. You're not waiting. You're living in that reality. You are confident, supported, inspired. You're fully alive. And here's the secret the quantum field has been whispering all along. That version of you is not far away. It's right here, vibrating just beyond the frequency you've been living on. You don't need to become something else to reach it. You simply need to remember that it already exists. And the portal to collapse that version into your now is choice. Not the kind of choice made from logic, fear, or routine, but the quantum kind, the kind that comes from identity. You must begin being who you wish to become. Now. Collapse doesn't happen through effort. It happens through embodiment. The same way a particle collapses from wave to form the moment it's observed. Your future collapses into reality the moment you decide to live from it rather than toward it. This is not a metaphor. It's physics, it's vibration, it's reality. The universe isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to broadcast readiness to live as if the timeline is already yours. Not with arrogance, but with coherence. Not to prove anything, but to tune into everything. Let's make this real. Start by asking, what does my future self know that I've forgotten? Sit with that question. Let it move through your body. Feel the answer rise from a place deeper than thought. That's your alignment speaking. That's your access point. And the more you listen to that future frequency, the more it begins to take root in your nervous system until the future no longer feels distant. It feels familiar. And familiarity is what signals the quantum field to respond. Because when you truly feel this is who I am now, the outer world begins to reflect it. It has to. The mirror cannot contradict the signal. It must reorganize. People shift. Opportunities appear. Reality bends. You didn't make it happen. You collapsed it. Because time, as we've been taught, is an illusion of the mind. In the quantum model, all moments exist simultaneously, layered as probabilities, vibrating just outside your perception. You're not moving through time. You're moving through frequency. And each frequency carries its own version of your life. So, the real question is never when will it happen. The real question is what am I tuned to right now? Because that's the timeline you're collapsing. Not with effort but with attention, with emotion, with identity. This is why ancient mystics and modern physicists agree on one point. The power is always now. Not because it's poetic, but because now is the only moment where observation can occur. Now is the only doorway through which collapse is possible. Now is the only place where your vibration meets the field and shapes what's next. So if you keep projecting your dream into the future, someday when I have the money, someday when I feel confident, someday when the timing is right, you're keeping it out of phase with your present. You're telling the field it's not here yet. And the field simply echoes that. But the moment you say it's already within me, I am it. I collapse it now. Everything changes because you change. You're no longer a seeker. You're a selector. You're no longer asking for signs. You're radiating them. You're no longer rehearsing lack. You're embodying abundance. This is your quantum invitation to stop waiting and start wielding, to become the version of you that doesn't wonder when things will shift because you are the shift. To step into the timeline that was always meant for you, not by chasing it, but by collapsing it into your now. And if you're ready to deepen this journey, to make this not just a moment of inspiration, but a movement of transformation, I've created something for you. It's called Awaken Your Quantum Power, an ebook designed to help you align your vibration, master your signal, and consciously collapse the timeline you were born to live. You'll find the link in the pinned comment below. Not because you need it to be powerful, but because you already are. And now it's time to remember. This isn't the end of a video. It's the beginning of a new reality.